Hi guys, welcome to Tarot for Tired People, or welcome back if you've been here before. It's been a while, but today I am in filming mode. Essentially, January's been busier than I expected it to be, and therefore I really lost track of. I think I'm still settling into the year, with everything that's going on in the world too. So I haven't been around, but of course I'm back and I am going to be more consistent as I used to be. So, as I said, it's always difficult when it's high season and it's peak season of socializing and all of that here now. I am way more active in summer when we have nothing to do and we're at home. But having said that, let's talk about today's video. Today, we are going to go beyond reads because I have been going beyond reads and curating the decks for meditation, for art, for journaling, and looking at my decks from those eyes. So it's not just the traditional readings, but specifically decks that can help with contemplative practices, identifying, what can best inspire meditation, what can serve, which decks will serve as prompts for artistic expression or facilitate deeper journaling. This kind of explores and highlights the aesthetics, how each of the decks sort of work, and also how they could be tools for inner work. We're always looking for that because no tarot practice, I think, is just a tarot practice. It's really the inner work practice. It's really the spiritual and healing practice. It's all of those things together. So let's get on with it. Now, the first thing that we want to look at is imagining some decks beyond divination. And the first one is for meditation and mindfulness. So I don't want to spend 5 decks per category, but for meditation, I think this is one of the best decks, the Dream Dust Shamanic Tarot. It is a indie deck. You can see that it's a cloth box. So mine is just full of fur. But it is a deck that can really help and has helped me in very deep meditative journeys. The thing about meditation is you want to use a deck that I love, the Dream Dust Shamanic Tarot, and I would recommend it for this, is because of the colors and because of the minimalism. That's essentially what you're looking for. You're looking for something that is so minimal that it's not about really the art, but the colors that kind of bring the stillness that you want when you sit down for meditation. So the 3 of Cups part here does not matter as much as really deep diving into the art here, into the colors here, and what do they make you feel. So even if I used to put on these videos on YouTube for the music, for meditation, because for me, music and incense is very important when I'm meditating, and because they would also have these little animated videos of graphics that would be quite good for me to start becoming a little more still. And that's what you want. You could use a single card. You could first do readings with these cards before you really sit with one card, and kind of connect with whichever. And it doesn't matter what the meaning of that card in this deck is. You could basically sit and see what it makes you feel so that you can go on that journey of contemplative inquiry. Any deck that is minimal and has something that you can take off from would help you in your meditation practice. As you are aware, if you've watched my videos before, I've spoken about it, that I also love using this deck, and the only time I use this deck is for mind, body, spirit. And it really works well for that because and that could be a reading that you could start your meditations with, because I do that. I know this is not a way to shuffle, but just to show you, because it's that sort of everything is falling off camera. Hold on. Yeah. So you would do, where's my mind? My mind is, we can see here, mind is all over the place. Lots of things mind is thinking about. How is my body feeling? My body is resting, is in a pause, is hanging loose. And how is my spirit feeling? The spirit is, it is kind of in inner wisdom. So you could do a reading like that and then look at one of the cards, like here, I am most attracted, let's say, to this card, and then you would want to sit with that card. So you could do readings in that perspective and take away. And this is the only way that I use the Dream Dust Shamanic Tarot. I use it for mind, body, spirit because there is a lot of stillness in this deck. And as I said, any minimal deck that you have, it could be, a deck with landscapes, with abstract art, just not a lot that is happening, and you could go off it. And if you are feeling unfocused, then you would obviously want to start with, readings before you can go into and stop and understand and sit with it. Like, I don't like guided meditation. For me, it has to be my journey of, I light the incense, I put on some music, I do a mind, body, spirit, and then I sit with the card. Like, I love the High Priestess card in this because it almost feels like a portal. So there would be cards that you would connect with into the deck, from the deck that you're using, and then you sit with them. I guess the colors also play beautifully because our mind in meditation also kind of goes over a colorful world, doesn't it? So that's the first category. Next, let's move on to the creative category. For unleashing your creativity, the first important part is what nature is your creative self. Mine is writing. She likes to write. Mine is not a very visual. She now likes to design decks also, but mostly she likes to write. That has always been my way of expressing my creativity. But again, I love writing fiction. I don't like writing poetry, for example. I don't even like reading poetry. So it depends on what is it that you and your creative self likes, and you need to choose a deck to unleash her through that. Let me explain. So here we have The Long Way Home by Sasha Lopez. It's a visual diary. I am someone who likes to write. I like to write fiction. I like to write non-fiction. So a deck like this, I mean, obviously also these blue bones, but let's talk about this right now. So a deck like this is really nice because I could write a short story on the necessity of goodbyes. I could write, like, that could be where I take off from, cry, and go on anyway. Or the call, and then create a story around it. So I can see every card is the beginning of a story, is the plot line of a story, and you could see probably poetry in it. You could see visual art in it. If your creative self is not a painter, you don't have to paint with it. If your creative self, like mine, likes to write, then you write with it. If you like to write fiction, then that deck that you choose is going to help you write fiction. So The Long Way Home for me is one of those decks that can really prompt that creative inquiry. And the color palettes and everything is so moody. I see the characters here that's already giving me a sort of journey into the kind of story that I would like to write around lessons on self-love. Who is this protagonist? What is she writing about? I can imagine her in this landscape. So it's things like that would, so you can draw, like, you could, shuffle and draw one card if you want to write, okay, today I'm going to write a story. And what do I write about? When I was named grief. This is what I'm writing about. What is the story around it? You already get the mood of the story. Let's say from this card, it's quite moody, it's quite blue, it's got this, this person here, it's almost got death and loss and, those kind of feelings. So what would you do around that, right? Or even Let There Be Laughter. So irrespective of which card you pick, as you can see, most of these cards you could turn into fiction stories, or you could write, and I'm not talking about journaling, I'm purely talking about creative expression. You could take Unburdened, and if your creative self is a designer, or what do you call that, is a visual artist, then you would do an art piece on this word, right? But the reason why decks like this work is because they're already giving you a sort of starting point and inspiring you on that journey. So it's really using decks like this as inspiration for your creative journey. And it could be anything. You could be writing a haiku on I Am My Own Home. I don't know how to write haiku, so don't ask me. But you could do a lot with it in whichever way you feel like. The second kind of deck that you could use for decks as art forms is are like archetypal decks. You know, you could build again stories and haikus and poetry and visual art around those kind of decks. I've given an example here of the Somnia Oracle. This is again indie deck. I don't know why all my examples today are indie decks, but a deck like this has a lot of archetypes, and it has things like preservation. So even when it's one word, it actually becomes easier, and something that is so visually strong like composure, but there is that fire burning, it would make you feel things where it automatically makes you write or draw or express in a way like, what does that veil mean? How would, not just journaling, but you could make something out of this. You can already see a story here. It's very cinematic, right? So all you need is using this as that starting point and then going beyond it and where you could go with it. Like, I love this sanctuary card. It is so amazing. So it could be archetypal decks like this, which could use like also the wild unknown archetype. You know, in the same way as I said for Long Way Home, there's also these Blue Bones Oracle. So any of the, so there's that kind which talks about a mood, and then there's this kind that talks about, that really helps and inspires creativity through archetypes. So using them would be another way of, let's write a haiku. Not really, but let's write a poem around the Wayfarer. This is such a poetic deck, and it's such a poetic card, you know, or what the burden means. Like, look at that card. It's amazing. Can you guys see? Oh, this deck is just incredible. Like that card, Initiation. Being a pioneer is so difficult. You are in uncharted territory. You are in difficult worlds. You're doing difficult things. Beautifully done deck. Again, definitely great oracle, but also a great inspiration to creativity. The Revenant. They all look like movie stills, honestly. I hope he creates more oracle decks. The Seeker, the Animus. I don't know if you can see the words, so I'm just reading them for you. Or the Presence, that could be a mystical story, that could be a horror story, that could be a poem about, you know, spirit guides. It could be so many things. You could go many places with it. Love it. Okay, so this is the archetypal deck style. Now let's move on to journaling and the decks that work for it. Again, I'm trying to show less decks so that it doesn't become 20 minutes, you know. But another good deck for here in this is, for archetypal, is the Witch's Shadow Work Oracle. That also kind of works very well because it has words like the bad child, the parent, you know, a lot of things that you could do. So for journaling, I would pick any question deck. I've shown many of my question decks here a lot, but you will see it all over TarotTube, but also like the Spread Machine Oracle. A lot of her decks, like this one is one of the expansion ones. I think that's a blank card. The thing about journaling is I don't usually do journaling like this. And I will do a video on my journaling practice in the coming week. But if you are someone who likes the prompts, then the decks with questions really help. And the reason why I specifically picked Spread Machine Change Oracle is because this has to do with your relationship with society. So I love like how silence is. How and why have you chosen to remain silent? How can you activate and lead with your voice? How can you create a positive effect by speaking up? So very, very interesting prompts she has here. Or like bias, the judgment, misunderstanding, limiting beliefs. To recover your voice, to reclaim your narrative, your agency. Obviously, she has a whole different way of using this, but I am just showing you as an example of question decks that you could use for, you know, for this particular, for journaling purposes. And yes, if you want to know mine, I have a video coming up before the world ensnares me again. Intolerance. What challenging views, beliefs, or behaviors are you struggling to accept right now? What are your experiences of intolerance and how have they affected you? Very good questions, you know. All her decks are so well thought of that you could do really deep journaling with these decks. So there is this. So any kind of question deck would help you if you want a question to answer as your journal entry. The other is actual journal prompts, which are pretty much the same, but creative consciousness healing, mass market deck, woohoo, finally I've shown a mass market, is really nice. You know, I love, this is one of my favorite oracles because it is just so pretty and cute, and yet it really resonates with me. I love it because it talks about things like self-trust and taking the next step, rooting in the power of your purpose. Look at that. And the illustrations are so cute. Healing a scarcity mindset. I love these. These are personal things that I am healing from. So this particular deck really resonates with me. But what is nice is in their guidebook for every card, they also have a journaling prompt. So it says here, try journaling by asking yourself, how did I do it? What did you believe to make this happen? And what did you make being deliberate with your attention? It also has creative visualization actually. So you could do creative visualization with this or understand how to do it with it, you know. So this card comes to you with the gentle message to have compassionate boundaries around where you put your attention. Like a parent or guide who lovingly chooses what's best for you, you must first choose where we are headed and then lovingly and firmly place your focus on the first step in that direction. Try journaling by asking yourself, how did I do it? What did you believe to make it happen? So this one has journaling prompts if that's something that you like. Otherwise, sorry, I was trying to mod it. I couldn't find my rounder. So that one just kind of lives there, you know. She's like, oh, okay. I am not, I don't match the others, but you'd belong. That's what matters. It's such a cute deck, guys. I love this deck. So journaling is a lot easier. You know, most of the decks can be used for it. You could even use like an archetypal deck to journal. But honestly, I think that if you like questions and you like prompts, there are a lot of decks out there like creativity, like this one, where the guidebook has reflection prompts and journaling prompts, and you could use that to do this. I hope, have I shown everything that I wanted to show? Well, I also had the blue bones because let's face it, we all know, the entire YouTube knows that these blue bones oracle by Roseway Tarot really started off this entire journey. This one is something that really goes beyond readings. I was using it so much for beyond reading practices that I was not using it for readings. And then when I started using it for readings, I realized, oh, it works there also very well. So it is an incredible deck that she's made. It really shows so much depth and there is so much mood in it. There's so much you could do with it and so many cards. It falls right in that bridge between light and shadow. It has a bit of everything, and you could get creative with it. You could journal with it. You could clarify readings with it. This is a very dynamic, versatile deck. Also indie. It's expensive, but then again, when you think about 100 cards, it is not expensive. Because I have seen decks going at $80 that have like 40 cards, which, you know, it's MPC, it's something else. Like today production is expensive, but this one is very well priced for the number of cards it comes with. So definitely a kind of, oh, is this my first definitely of this year? I don't know. I'm keeping a track, I think. But that's amazing, like a heavy heart, really nice. But again, it's a certain mood. It's definitely a certain mood. And you have to be in that mood, kind of. Or if you're not, it could bring you into that mood. You get my point? Always, it's not so good to be in this Tumblr world. That also I've realized, my learning from 2025. But it's dreamy. It's nice, like cards like this, Holy in Peace, very nice. And this would help you in all perspectives. Not meditation so much. Anyway, that's pretty much what I had to share. Now, I would like to know from you, what are the decks you use for meditation, for journaling, for creative expression, and how you use them? I know that there is a poetry deck out there that I've been meaning to get, even though I'm not into poetry, to see how it works. But, you know, there are essentially so many decks out there, right? It's difficult to cherry pick. But thank you for watching. Thank you for being around, even when I can't, and hanging on. But the years just started in a rush. I already feel like it feels quite a lot, right? With everything that's going on. I'm in the Middle East. There's a lot happening here regionally. It's kind of like you're having to act normal. I think everywhere. It's just really, really crazy how normal we are expected to act, even though the world around us is pretty much going to shit. But no, it's pretty much going crazy, and we are having to hold on and go up and show up in meetings and show up for coffee and all of those things. So, but we'll see how it goes. 2025 was quite chaotic by itself. 2026, let's see how it turns out. And I hope to see you guys around. And stay safe wherever you are, and stay happy. And if the world gets too much, we always have tarot and all of this to hide into, hide under rather. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you again. Please like and subscribe and all of those things. I promise to be good. And I hope the next videos also reach you if you are around. Bye.